Award-winning broadcast journalist Ed Marshall asks the tough questions you want answered. Informative, soul-stirring, one-on-one interviews about matters that affect our lives in this region we call home. Here now with Conversations is Ed Marshall.
Well, thanks for keeping us company. There was a time when community colleges were not held in high esteem compared to four-year universities, but that's not happening anymore. Community colleges now play a critical role in workforce development across the nation. Many believe, however, that community colleges are the total cornerstone of American higher education. As the community works to recover from the coronavirus, this may be the most important thing that's going on, people coming to community colleges. And I have the opportunity to introduce to you to some and say hello to others. A lady that does a lot of hard work in terms of community colleges, particularly Delgado, and that's I want to say now, Dr. Orlando Williams. You have, since you were here last, you got your doctorate, and I just was super excited to see it live streaming. So congratulations.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Well,
thank you.
Tell all of this, what you, well, let's back up. I always like for people to know who my guest is, where you're from, and what's going on.
So I'm from Houma, Louisiana, Terrebonne Parish, born and raised there. I am the Vice Chancellor of Workforce Development and Institution, well, no longer Institution Advancement, but Workforce Development, and the Executive Dean of the River City site out in Avondale for Delgado Community College. So all things workforce, all things advanced manufacturing, and all things exciting, right? Because workforce development is higher education. Right. We're preparing people to go out into the world. And you said something earlier when you said that now more than ever, community colleges are playing a bigger role into that. And so my love for workforce development, my love for economic and community development comes from my passion in politics.
Right.
And so I served 13 and a half years as an elected official in Terrebonne Parish. And all of the boards and commissions that I served on during that time prepared me for this job, right? Because I was Kathleen Blanco's, I was on her transition team for the Department of Labor. And then now Governor John Bell Edwards, his transition team for the Department of Economic Development. And so what comes out of both of those? Workforce development.
Right, exactly.
So it was a preparation, right? And to the big city of New Orleans, which was like giving an artist a canvas, right? And you're able to draw how you want to help people.
Yeah.
And so getting out of politics, that was one of the questions. There was, you want to run? You going to run? So I'm going to take 4 years off.
There you go.
Right, and dedicate my time to people, and I wanted something that allowed me to continue to help others.
Because you've always been about service,
Yeah.
And anybody I talk to said, call Orlando. She'll know somebody that can help.
Yeah, and this job helps me to be me. I was built on being a servant leader and servant leadership, and Delgado Community College allows me to be the person that I am, and that is to help people on different pathways.
Yeah.
Everybody is not given the same cards in life, and we have to meet people where they are.
Right.
And so workforce development allows you to do that. Delgado Community College allows people to come and develop who they are. It doesn't matter, you could be 80 years old. We have a program for you, right? And so I love it. I love all things about Delgado Community College. I'm a Southern Knight till the day I die.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of
bleed blue and gold.
So do I. And speaking of, you're on the board for the Southern system. Tell us about that.
And so it is. Let me just say this: a lot of people don't know this little secret about me. I wanted to be on the Southern board more than I wanted to be elected. That was just a goal of mine, right? But it wasn't the time.
Right.
And so I think now it's more of a time because the experience that I have in higher ed and politics, mixing the two together, that board is very interesting. It keeps me with my political fix going, right? But it also allows me to see how I could better prepare the students that we touch every day at Delgado for higher, to go to the 4-year institutions, because we have to work together, to really help them. But that board it's a fun board. It's a working board. But if you know anything about Southern University, you know it's interesting.
It's always interesting.
It's interesting.
I remember when I was going to school there, my undergraduate, I ran the Southern Digest, so it was quite interesting.
Yes.
I would get calls from the president, what is this article? Very, very interesting. You said, I know you come from Houma, so and before we get into our talk about Delgado some more, tell us, Ida did a real job on Houma. How's it coming along?
We're still in recovery mode. You still drive around and see things, and it sometimes looks like, although we're resilient and everybody is coming together and trying to make things happen, it looks in certain parts like a bomb was just dropped on it. And I love Houma. It's home. It's small enough for you to say, well, who's your mama? Well, what high school you go to? But it's big enough for some people to still get lost. And so to see the comeback of most of the citizens, it's really a good feeling. I know that we're going to restore and come back even stronger and even better. My concern falls in those that are in our housing authority areas. Those areas have not come back, and they have been displaced. So you have senior citizens that are now living in other areas, and we've taken them out of what's normal to them. And so, Ed, that's a problem.
A lot of times, once you do that, they usually don't last that long.
No.
Because I know with Katrina, that happened to several elderly people. And, they want to be in their house, and be regular. They know their routines, and they don't have it anymore. So that's important.
You're removed from being able to walk across the street to the grocery store to having to get a ride somewhere. And I had to check myself and tell myself, you're no longer the council person, because I was ready to jump right in and say, no, this is not how it should be. You need to do X, Y, and Z. And so because I was council chair during the BP oil spill, the major flood that happened in Terrebonne Parish, and the Gustav. And so when Gustav hit, we were ground zero again, but we were up and running in 6 weeks.
Wow.
And I didn't see that this time. And so I had to check myself, and I had to remove myself from myself to say, you know what, it's not your business. But even though I did put my hand, I had to make the parish president was so funny. He called me because I was like, you need to do this, Gordy. I said, this will, so he's like, Gordy, can you negotiate? I said, I can't negotiate that contract. I'm no longer on the council. He said, I forgot. They called me back to come and do a commercial. And a public service announcement to tell the people of the parish that it was going to be okay.
Good. That's big because they knew you had the kind of reputation where people would believe you. Because I've told people, I've been in TV for over 20-something years, you cannot fool the public. If you don't have the believability that you really are involved, you can't sell it.
No, you can't. And I came in, I was in Galveston, and I stayed in New Iberia for about a month. And so came in from New Iberia that particular morning, and I serve on the parish levy, on the levy board out there, so I do still have a political responsibility. So came in for that meeting, and we were all meeting at OEP, and they were like, Alana, we need you to get in front of the camera. And I'm not getting in front of the camera looking like this, right? And so they were like, we need you to calm this down a little bit for us, because everybody was wondering how their house was, and I was blessed, Ed. My uncle teases me all the time. He says, it looks like they picked my house up, let the hurricane pass, and then just put it back down.
Wow.
So I was blessed, and so I took it, at that point it became my mission to get the churches together, to work with as many people as I could, to try to help people. At that point, I couldn't just sit still. But I did have to go and do a public service announcement. So we're coming back slowly but surely, and I believe in the people of Terrebonne. I believe that Terrebonne means just what it means, the good earth. And there's good people in the good earth.
Yeah, and you know what I like about you? I have searched high and low. Houma is the only Martin Luther King Boulevard I know that looks like Chicago's Magnificent Mile.
I love it.
Oh, I mean, they've got every shop. It is, excuse me, it is absolutely fabulous. We go down to shopping sometimes. I mean, it just looks like you're in this big city, and then you're really in this small community.
Mm-hmm. You know, the story behind that was my father and about 5 or 6 other community leaders at the time fought to get Martin Luther King Boulevard. And so that was all cane field. And they said you could have this. And so the developer who pushed for it, my dad was like, it's cane. Like, they were kind of like fighting against it, but he was like doing the nudge, like, you want to take this.
Right, right.
Nobody knew at that time that those lots would go $100,000 an acre. Oof. And that was 5 years ago, so it may be even higher now, right? And so Terrebonne Parish became proud of our Martin Luther King Boulevard, because Martin Luther King Boulevards have known to be in bad areas.
They put them in those areas, and I find that very disconcerting for the man himself and for what his legacy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I remember the first time I told somebody, they were like, you know, we were talking at a conference, and they said, well, you know, it's like you just go buy a lot. You know, I said, no, Martin Luther King. Charlotte, you got to be careful. I said, I'm telling you, it's $100,000. And so they're like, what? So when the conference came to New Orleans, we took a few to Houma so they could see it. And they were like, I can't believe this. And every major shop in
people are shocked.
Right there.
I mean,
yeah. We're proud.
We love it. I absolutely love it. So
we're
we go down there as often as we can. Now that you know more about Ms. Orlando Williams, Dr. Orlando Williams, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to get into delving into more of Delgado and what it has to offer this region. So stay with us.
Because of you, I felt hopeless.
I know it was a joke, but it still hurt me.
Because of you, I felt wanted and not alone in this world.
Because you said hi to me on the first day of school, I felt included, and I knew that I was going to be okay.
Well, welcome back. Believe it or not, Delgado Community College is the largest and oldest community college in the state of Louisiana, and it serves New Orleans, some 10 parishes. So we want to talk a little bit about, last year y'all had the wonderful 100 celebration. That went really well. And a lot of people got a chance to really participate in that. Tell us more about how that went.
It was awesome. It was an awesome experience to be a part of, the planning, the celebration of Delgado. I mean, you know, as far as I can remember, because I had friends that graduated high school with me that came and played basketball for Delgado. So here we were sharing information, and I was getting all of these calls like, you know, I went to Delgado, right? You know, I graduated from Delgado, right? You know, and everybody had this excitement, and then that night was just magical.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it was beautiful.
It was.
I mean, and just to bring people home. Dr. Richard was there.
Yes.
Dr. Collier was there. Of course, Dr. Monty Sullivan was there, and Dr. Stibe wanted to celebrate everyone who even touched Delgado Community College, and it was just a night of celebration. It was beautiful, but most importantly, we all had a chance to have fun, you know, because you work every day for the students.
Yes.
And Dr. Stibe always pushes to us about that work-life balance. Work-life balance. Well, that night, I said, is this enough work-life balance for you? Everybody was just dancing and just celebrating and having a nice time. But even leading up to it, the brick campaign that we did, and just, you know, bringing back alum and just trying to talk and tell the story of Delgado Community College. I learned so much about the impact that Delgado has in this city.
Right.
It is. I mean, when we did the impact study, our impact is $551 million to the New Orleans region.
And that's a lot to go into that coffer.
Oh, that's awesome.
So, I often say without Delgado, that would be a big, big, big open hole in terms of not only education, but also the economic impact.
That's right, because we're building new buildings, so we're helping with the employment because some of our students, and especially in the technical side, are being hired by some people that working in New Orleans is helping to grow. So our footprint, it goes really wide in the city of New Orleans and the surrounding regions. I couldn't see the city of New Orleans without Delgado Community College, right? Because I have a good friend who's in the hospital right now, and he calls me and he says, so I've been taken care of by a nurse from Delgado. I've been taken care of my radiologist at Delgado, and I think he even said like his it was the person who checked him in, Delgado. So he says, I'm in great hands, right? And I said, yes, you are. And so he needed a specialist. So he called. He says, I'm gonna call these Delgado folks, right? I know y'all have connections to help me out. And so we were like laughing with him. He says, listen, if I had to send a rating sheet in on just how I'm being treated, he says, I don't know what y'all teaching them over there, but they have great bedside manners. And that was just yesterday I got that call. So, and people don't really associate Delgado with Charity School of Nursing. They don't realize that is Delgado.
Right.
So, and then you're going to see that move to the City Park campus. Yeah. So our footprint is going to be even bigger in the allied health field. But just to hear yesterday someone saying, and this person was, not feeling well. He says, I had to call. Mm-hmm. I just had to call you and to get this message to somebody. But I have been treated by 3 people from Delgado.
And I had my own experience when I went into you can, finding someone to do your hair, so it's a tough job.
Right.
And my hairstylist, he left town. And I went into the shop, didn't know anybody. And the guy was talking to me, he says, I said, you're doing a good job. He says, oh, I should. I got my experience at Delgado.
That's
or
right.
Sidney Collier.
That's right. And let me tell you about that, the cosmetology and barbering school. They came to us and they wanted to do a workforce program. So we opened up a shop in the Veterans Hospital. So our students that needed more clinical hours can go there and they can do it, and they cut the hairs of the veterans, and they discounted price. But they work well with that. That program was really good. COVID put a stop to it. That was the only thing that put a stop to it. But there are negotiations to restart again because we had to wait till the hospital said yes. Sure. But everyone was excited about it, and my uncle came and he called me and said, I didn't know Delgado had a barbershop in the hospital, blah, blah, blah. They did real good, And so you hear that, but it makes the students feel good, and they have a sense of pride about themselves, And so it's always a good day at Delgado.
Yeah. But tell us, where do the students come from that come to Delgado? Do they come from just all over? Or?
They do. The majority of our students, though, come from Jefferson Parish. And so we see a lot of New Orleans, but we have Jefferson Parish has a lot of students. A lot of our student population comes from that area. We have them as far as Houma here, Baton Rouge here, because Delgado is the largest community and technical college, but we're the second largest college in the state next to LSU with our enrollment.
And that's one thing people don't realize. Next to the enrollment, LSU, and then Delgado. And people go, what?
Right, exactly. And that speaks to us, and it speaks to what Delgado has to offer. There's been changes from 100 years ago, of course, and so now the face of the community and technical college is playing a bigger, putting a bigger imprint on people.
And it does that. And let's talk about when we look at Delgado, where do you see Delgado 10 years from now?
I see Delgado 10 years from now being a true staple in technology in the city of New Orleans. I see us creating a bigger technology hub, and I see our advanced manufacturing, and of course in maritime, really spreading out, but I really see a big boom in allied health. I see us being a leader, especially preparing those because our partners are great. I mean, Ochsner, LCMC, and we've created pathways. So right now you can start as an MA, go to LPN, and then go to an RN program. So what does that do for the student? It gives them hope, because here I'm an MA. I am in high demand now. That's COVID taught us a lesson about that, right? And then I can make money while I'm going to school. I have a good job with good benefits. I can do a 2-year, or I can go directly to the RN program. But I see a big imprint or impact in this community from Delgado and allied health. And I also see a resurgence in our tourism programs, because the city of New Orleans is coming back 100%. Yes. We saw a great Mardi Gras turnout, right? And so that means hotel, motel. So that means not just not just in culinary, but you see facilities maintenance. You see a lot, and I'll tell you what else we are really dipping our hands into is clean water. Water is $1 trillion industry, and we are all over it. The Gulf Wind projects, and we had an opportunity, the Chancellor and I, to go to Rhode Island to see some of the first windmills, offshore windmills. It was more excitement for me than anybody realizes, and I'll tell you why. I was sitting on the parish council when that contract was given to T. Baker Smith and to Gulf Island in Terrebonne Parish. And everybody just kind of like was excited, but not like, we'll never see it happen. They didn't
really grasp it.
And not thinking we would ever see it happen in our lifetime. And so to go offshore in Rhode Island within 5 feet of something that was built, it really is. So we're starting a program working with Gulf Wind Technologies and Jefferson Parish School System to provide trainings to make technicians. So the first, I think, license is right now being discussed to go out in the Gulf of Mexico. It'll be a while, maybe 5 years, but guess what happens? We still need technicians today. So you'll see Delgado play heavy in those spaces, and that is where you are turning over $75,000 a year jobs. Right, so $60K is really 2 years away, and you can do that right at Delgado.
Right. I know, for example, your electricians. I mean, those they get out of school and they're gone. I mean, people keep them busy. I mean, it is unbelievable. And to have good certified electricians, particularly after these hurricanes, is very important. And they meet the demand every time. So, and I can vouch for that, because, I had some damage to my place. And when Delgado first approached you, how did you said, do I want to come down there?
No, so when I got the call, I was nervous. And I was like, okay, all of the training you've had thus far, you're prepared for this. And so I was more afraid of, this is going to be a big city. How can I get into where I need to get into, to say hello to the people I need to say hello to be able to bring programs to be supported. Then when I got down here, these are all the people I've already known from politics, right? And it was easy, and it was just like, hey, we have this training. Could you offer this? Can we do that? So what was once my fear became my passion. And I am truly to a point of almost being addicted to this job. Because New Orleans, what I will give you all credit for, is somebody's always looking to offer a training. So that if you don't have a job out here, it's because you don't want one.
That's right. That's right.
So this is, to me, like I told somebody the other day, I actually was like, Alana, how you handle it? I love New Orleans. Like it's a brightness, and but the most important thing is the open mind approach that you see from different businesses here, and they have the relation. Delgado has the reputation of we're here, we're not going anywhere. Tell us what you need, and we can make it happen.
Partnership is important.
And so that's how it is. That's how we met, Ed.
Exactly. That's how we met. Exactly. And of course, the board of directors for the college, and I'm on that board. The people who give up their time is absolutely amazing. As a matter of fact, I wanted to mention that there's going to be the roast of the town. They do that every year, hosted by Delgado Community College on April It's a Friday, April 2023. For more information, call Nita Hutter at Delgado at 671-5412, and it's going to be at the John Hotel, and I'm not allowed to tell you who they're going to be roasting, so that's going to be the big surprise. So people should get their tickets and come early, and there are going to be lots of different things you can bid on there and just have a good time. And all of that money goes strictly back to help bridge the gap for students who cannot afford all the money to go to Delgado, even though that amount in terms of tuition is considered low. But again, we're living in a situation where people need help, and Delgado tries to meet it. I thank you for being here. We've talked, and I can't believe we're out of time already. You'll have to come back again.
I will. And
I will try to get out to the River campus and see what's going on. I've always, by the way, I know how to weld I used to. I got to pick up on my welding skills.
Come on, we have a short-term training.
All right, I'll do that. I appreciate you being here. And again, people who need information about Delgado, you can go to dcc.edu and pick up that phone, and they'll give you all the information that you need. Well, thank you all for keeping us company. We hope that you're well. I always tell you, do something good for yourself, do something good for someone else, and to stay in peace, not pieces. Until next month, we'll see you.